What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, and today we have our live stream where we go over the market stats, the news you need to know about if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in northeastern Florida. And we're also going to do a Q&A. So if you're watching it live, if you're watching the replay, if you have any questions, go ahead and fire them off in the comments below. And if you are watching it live or if you're watching the replay, just go ahead and let me know where you're watching it from. If you're watching here locally, love to have the locals on here for sure, especially if you want to chime in. But if you're watching, potentially thinking about relocating to our area, make sure you let us know why you're looking at St. Augustine and where you're moving from. We'd love to be able to figure that out. So I'm going to hop into the first thing we always do, which is going to be our market stats. So let me just share my screen here. And next week, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to have a more in-depth market stat. I have training with the Market Distillery tomorrow, who is pretty much our economics professor for all us real estate agents here that are blessed with his presence. He's a really smart guy, and he runs a lot of the data that we show here. So let's take a look at the past week in the housing market. Let's take a quick peek. We got 666 closed and 988 new listings. So pretty much, let's say 60% of stuff is selling right now. So 6 out of 10. And then if you're looking at new listings, to price changes, we have more price changes, more than new listings, which typically they're about 1-for-1. But as this market has shifted, we are seeing a little bit more shift in the price changes because they got to compete with just the interest rates going up and also the other competition coming onto the market. And then we have new listings to pending and under contingent taking backup. We're just going to group those together as under contract. The buyer and seller accepted a contract and moving forward. And that looks like it's a little over 1-for-1. So that sounds about right. But then you also have your back on market, which is 239. Those fell out of contract for whatever reason, whether that's an inspection, a mortgage, or appraisal contingency, or they just backed out of the contract for whatever reason. They're back on the market. So we're pretty much seeing that like an 8 out of 10 homes are coming to the market and then going under contract, and then you have 2 of those homes coming back, right? So 10 out of 10, then you have the 8 out of 10 going under contract and 2 coming back on the market. So hopefully that makes sense. And we'll take a look at the inventory here, which from last week, it actually went down slightly. Not a huge jump, but as we go into these the holiday weeks of December, I don't expect this number to really go up. Not too many people looking to list their house several days before Christmas, unless they're a glutton for punishment. But we see 7197. So I expect that to keep going up through like January, February. But then into March, I will expect that to see that number start to go down a little bit. But we can always stay on top of that, of course. Let me stop sharing my screen here. And we'll hop back up to the other things. And guys, make sure you fire off those comments below if you have any questions. It helps me out. Helps if anyone else has the questions that you're thinking of, it helps them out as well. So go ahead and fire them off. Glad you guys are joining me here tonight. We got some cool news stories here tonight, which I think are going to be really important, especially if you're on the fence, right? We've been talking about this for a while now in terms of interest rates, right? That's a big issue here lately. And the federal funds rate, right? That we've been trying to battle this inflation issue. So the Fed holds steady. Indicates 3 rate cuts coming in 2024, and I'm not sure. I'm in the system. When it comes down to real estate news, I see all this stuff. There's another news article that said ING was saying that there's going to be, I think 4 or 6 rate cuts next year, and the Fed is indicating that they're going to do 3 rate cuts, which is a good sign for the market. We saw SPY, which is an indicator of the market, jump up pretty significantly here. So they're going to keep their overnight borrowing rate targeted between 5.25 and 5.5. With the federal funds rate going up, they raised it 11 times in a row through 2022 and this year. And then they paused it really. I think they stopped raising it in June, and then July they raised it, and they've paused it since then. They haven't done any other raises to the federal funds rate, and now they're expecting it to go down the opposite way. The reason they were raising the federal funds rate is to fight inflation. We all know inflation went pretty crazy here these past couple of years. So that was the whole point. The goal is to get inflation down to 2%. So they're thinking that they're going to be able to do that by 2025 or 2026. They're not 100% sure. I think they're being more conservative on their numbers because a lot of other people think that they're going to be able to reach that number much sooner when they're looking at actual, a different set of data points, right? So what he said is, while the weather is still cold outside, the Fed has suggested a potential thawing of frozen high interest rates over the next few months. They did say, like, hey, if anything happens, we are going to raise those interest rates back up. So they're really trying to be tight on the monetary policy to make sure that inflation doesn't go too rampant. They really are trying to hit that 2% target. But inflation hit a 40-year high, right? And Fed has seen core inflation falling from 3.2% in 2023 to 2.4% in 2024, and then 2.2% in 2025. So that would obviously be a welcome to many of us in our pocketbooks, especially when you're looking at, gases. I'm not sure what gas is where you guys are at. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know this. But gas here, actually, I saw something for $2.75 today, which that was, of course, paying with cash. But hey, $2.75, we hadn't seen those numbers in a while unless you're shopping at Costco or BJ's or something like that. But most of the gas here is under $3, which is really, really cool. Love to see that. I haven't noticed that in food, though. Food's still expensive. So not sure what inflation. They're talking about core inflation, so more or less rental costs, because rental costs have gone down. But that is a good sign for the market, and it's also a good sign for our next news story here, which is going to be interest rates. So this is kind of the pivot point that we've all been talking about, guys, right? Like, the Fed wanted to do a soft landing, and it seems like that they're going to do it. We're also heading into an election year next year. We have one news story that's going to touch on that as well. But mortgage refinance demand jumps 19% after rates hit the lowest level since July. So rates have been on a steady decline for the past 6 weeks now, 7 weeks, I think. Demand for mortgages to buy a home also increased, but at a much lower rate of 4%. Home prices are still high and housing supply remains tight. So I'm not saying that there's a whole bunch of people out there jumping for joy for a 7.25 interest rate or a 7% interest rate. We are starting to see people get quoted under 7% now for the mortgage interest rate, when just several months ago we were hitting 8%, and that's really where people were like, oh my gosh, this is just so much more expensive. And I think the difference between an 8% and a 7% loan comes out to like $300, $400 a month on your monthly payment. So that's putting savings directly back in people's pockets if they are looking to buy a home, right? And that's what we were really looking for in terms of some relief. And that's why so many agents were like, hey, if you're looking to buy a home and maybe you're not the best buyer, right? You're not that cash buyer. You're not that 20% conventional down buyer. Those FHA buyers, VA buyers, people putting 5% down, the lower down payment buyers, the people that were not as qualified as the cash and the 20% down, the past 2 years, they were just getting their asses kicked because they were losing out on offers to cash and 20% down conventional without any contingencies. They were also losing to people bringing cash to the table, covering that appraisal gap. If you don't have that money, you're just not able to compete in the past market, right? So that's why agents are like, hey, if you're looking to buy a home, you should buy a home as soon as possible, regardless of the interest rate, because everyone is expecting the federal funds rate to be cut significantly over these past couple of years because of how fast they raised the federal funds rate the past year and a half, essentially. So that they mess with the federal funds rate, it messes with the 10-year treasury. The 10-year treasury and interest rates tend to trade at about a 1.7% difference historically. So if you're looking at the 10-year treasury and mortgage interest rates, that's the best indicator of where mortgage interest rates are going to go, because typically the spread's 1.7, and I think right now we're at 2.5, right? So the difference is mortgage interest rates are 2.5% higher than the federal funds rate. I'm messing everything up now. Interest rates are 2.5% higher than the 10-year treasury, when typically it's 1.7 when you're looking at the total history of the 10-year treasury. So that's why everyone's saying to buy now, because if interest rates do go back down into the mid sixes, low sixes, then we're back in a very competitive market. So if you're not that strong buyer, you're not the 20% down, you're not the cash buyer, you're going to be in a battle then to get into contract on something that you actually want. So essentially what people are saying is, hey, stomach the rate for now, wait till rates go down, and then refinance when that happens. Now, of course, this could not happen. Interest rates could not go down, right? They could go the opposite way. They can go up. No one has a crystal ball, but this is kind of the technical analysis and the reasoning behind people saying those kind of things. So hope that helps. I kind of almost lost my breath there as I went through everything. But if you have any questions about that, fire them off in the comments below. I'm not saying I'm right on this, guys. I'm giving you the information from me doing research and me following this over, past pretty much I've been on it since I've been doing this YouTube stuff. So past 2 years, I've been really dialing in. Hey, Scotty, or is that Scotty or Scott1? I don't know. Glad I found your channel. Thank you for being here, Scott. Where are you from? Let us know. You're looking to move here. You live here locally. Let us know in the comments below. Appreciate you. Let's head on to the next news story here, which ties into the election year. It ties into what's going on in the real estate market. And we've seen this probably in the news, right? And I think this is really important. New legislation proposes to take Wall Street out of the housing market. A bill introduced in the House and Senate would prevent hedge funds from owning single-family houses in the United States. Essentially, this is using articles throughout the past couple of years where we've seen hedge funds heavily buying homes in certain areas at a much higher rate than they were before. Prior to the Great Financial Crisis, really 2012, we weren't seeing hedge funds buying houses like they are buying houses now. Now they're buying them as pretty much as a commodity and almost trading it as such, which then enters, an ethical dilemma for people, right? You have people that want to buy their houses for themselves and their families. And now housing has gotten so expensive because of prices, to the interest rate. And then you have these people over here that are using this to trade essentially, right? And to use it as straight as an investment and use it as a rental, right? So they're going to buy it and then rent it out to someone. They've entered the market in a heavy way. And in a lot of markets, they mentioned Boston here. I think it was like 25% of all the homes bought in Boston in June were all bought by hedge funds. Now, that is a crazy statistic. I really don't, I didn't look into the data on this, just reading you what they said here. I doubt that because that is an extremely high number, but I'm not in that market. I'm down here in our market. And I wouldn't know the percentage of that either. I know that roughly our cash buyers are around 28% here in northeastern Florida. Now, that could be a cash buyer that's just an end user. That could be a retail investor. You don't really see that information on my end, at least. I do see investors buying cash homes, and I see end users buying homes for cash. So I typically tend to work with more end users, people that want to live there. But what do you guys think about this bill here? Now, they did put a caveat on there saying that it's over 75 homes, right? So if a hedge fund is buying and they have 60 homes, there will be no fine. If you're over 75, they're going to give you 10 years to liquidate all of your assets. And then I think it's a $10,000 fine per house for however much longer you own it. And then that $10,000 will be put into a kitty that will then get help with down payment assistance for other home buyers. So personally, I don't think the government getting into housing like this is a good idea. Do I think there needs to be some regulation? Hard to say, really. I mean, I guess the right kind of regulation, but you can't argue that there is a right kind of regulation. But I do think there should be some incentive maybe for sellers on the tax side, to sell to an individual versus a corporation. They need to incentivize home ownership. I don't know if this is the right way to go about it. But what do you guys think about this? Because my thinking on this is like, okay, so they said if it's over 75 homes, so what they'll do is they'll just create another LLC and put it under that LLC. Maybe it's not that simple. I'm thinking it is that simple, and that's how they get around this whole bill. But I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I think that's probably what would happen. That's what I would do. But who knows? What do you guys think about that? Do you think that is a good move? Do you think that's a bad move for our housing market? Do you think that institutional home landlords essentially should be a thing? Do you think that we should rely on the government more for certain things like this? I do know any government housing that I've seen is not ideal. It's not ideal what you'd want for your personal home, right? I wouldn't want that. And I've also seen government waste money. And if we're following anything in the politics today, you can think that they've wasted money. Let's see what Scott says. Not a fan of government intervention, but they could just limit it to 1% of the total homes in the area. Yeah, and you know what? That's actually what a lot of new construction builders do. A lot of the builders here, especially when we had the craziness in 2021 and people were essentially, auctioning off homes to people, they just said, "Hey, we're not working with investors right now." And I mean, we're talking about nationwide builders, like DR Horton Lennar. They're not saying like, "Hey, we're going to sell all these," because they could have. They said, "Hey, we'll sell all 100 of these houses to these guys." They said, "No, we're going to hold off for just people who are going to live here and be a part of the HOA." And maybe there was an external reason for that, to make sure the HOA funds get all beefed up and people, like living there. And when you have a renter versus an owner, people just treat things differently, right? I'm not a fan of government intervention either, but in some instances it does make sense, right? So, for example, here in St. Augustine Beach, which I think technically just got overruled by the state of Florida, they had a list of how many Airbnbs you could have within the city of St. Augustine Beach. So this is you have St. Augustine Beach, which is huge, but there's a smaller actual city of St. Augustine Beach, and within that area, you can only have 100 Airbnb units. And if you didn't have a rental voucher, you weren't able to get one, or you'd have to go on a list, or you'd have to buy a house with a rental voucher that could do Airbnbs, which obviously is a lot more lucrative. The prices of those homes went up drastically because of this 100 limit on how many vacation rentals could be there. At the same time, you're also preserving the neighborhoods that people have lived in historically. I grew up on St. Augustine Beach. The place I grew up is now converted. It was a rental apartment complex, now converted over to condos. Right behind my condos, there was literally a blueberry field. There was a place where I had, there's trees, and I played in the fort, but it's all condos now, right? So, uh, I don't know if it's a good move or a bad move, because you could almost attribute to the extreme price increases in St. Augustine Beach to this 100 rental voucher, which made, specific units that had Airbnb possibilities, the income on those are way more lucrative because you're in the heart of St. Augustine Beach versus just like a single family home that didn't have that voucher, right? So it's really interesting. I'd really like to see what happens in the future. I don't know if I agree with government getting into anything. Kevin O'Leary, I read another article. He said, like, you guys just stay out of it. Just stop. Let's see here. Good evening. Not a fan of government Apollo Andrade, the coolest name in the world. If you don't, is that a race car in your picture? If you don't race cars or motorcycles, you'll be disappointed. Where do you think the most undervalued location in Northeast Florida with the greatest upside potential? Excuse me. I mean, in terms of an investment, I would go to Jacksonville. Jacksonville in northeastern Florida. I mean, the housing prices there are still, like, the median sale price, I think, is 320,000, which is, that's a pretty good median sale price. But if you're looking on the outskirts of Jacksonville, that whole area is going to grow. I think if you're looking at, and I feel like we talked about this before potentially on another live stream, but you have the First Coast Expressway, which is going to connect I-10 that goes right, like, if my face is Jacksonville, I-10 goes east and west, 95 goes through here, and they're going to be building the First Coast Expressway, which would follow my beard. I'm going to use this every time I explain this now. It would follow my beard to pretty much cut you out from going up to Jacksonville. You can just cut over to I-10 using the First Coast Expressway. If you look at that, you have Middleburg, you have Green Cove Springs, Palatka will benefit from that, and the northern part of St. Johns County. So all of those areas are going to be right around the First Coast Expressway, and it's going to be really easy to get into Jacksonville if you need to work there, and just really easy to just get around all of, like, northeastern Florida, because you'll be right off 95 to get to the First Coast Expressway to go to I-10 if you want to go down to Tallahassee for whatever reason. Maybe watch FSU not get into the NCAA finals. And I think I messed that up. Or you can go down to Disney World on 95. So yeah, I would say anywhere out there definitely has a lot of upside potential because of all the planned infrastructure coming. Right now, most of those areas are pretty much empty. There's not a lot of stuff going on there. Green Cove Springs has some crazy deals on new construction homes by DR Horton out there. And I know if someone's left me a comment telling me about their one property where their HOA was like $20 a month, something like that. And they have all the amenities and everything. They also have a lot more space between the homes there. Like in St. Johns County, you're paying a premium for having a 60-foot lot, right? And a 60-foot lot is not even that big of a lot, but that's like the difference of like buying a standard production home versus buying a luxury home here in St. Johns County. It's pretty staggering. So hopefully that answers your question, Apollo. Putnam, St. Johns, Clay, Nassau County, or elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, Putnam County is pretty much where I was talking about. Clay County as well. So that's like Middleburg, Green Cove Springs. Then you have in Clay County, then Putnam, Palatka. Weelaka is probably going to go. Weelaka is like a cute little town, 700 people in it, 2 sheriffs, 1 stoplight. They're putting the Bass Pro Shops out there. It's going to be a luxury resort. And it really is beautiful out there. They got tons of natural springs too. So if you're an outdoorsy person, Clay County, Putnam County, those are going to be your go-tos, even Nassau County too. Nassau County, you're seeing really affordable prices up that way. And you're on the north side of Jacksonville. You're not that far from everything. You got 295 that gets you everywhere, and 95. So you can get pretty much anywhere in Jacksonville within 25 to 30 minutes, really. Thanks for the feedback above. I've taken my cars to the racetrack. I see many rental apartments only in St. Johns. Wish some of these were for sale. Yeah, me too. It frustrates me so much that we have all these luxury rentals, and there's nothing luxurious about them. Granite countertops, if you consider that luxurious. I wish they would build some condos and start selling them, and like we still do have some affordable condos here. I was just showing someone the condos on the beach where I used to live. Now they're only like 900 square feet, 920 square feet, I think, 2-bedroom, 2 baths. But you could ride your bike to the amphitheater. You can go to the beach. You can walk to the beach. Restaurants you can walk to, all that kind of stuff. And the YMCA is right across the street. Like there's just a lot of benefits with that. But yeah, they don't have that many condos. There are some condos where you'll see lower pricing, but then their HOA will be like $500 a month. And like, for what? What am I paying for? So I agree. I wish they would build more condos. I think my generation is just going to have to get over that, like, hey, your first house isn't going to be a single family home that is on 2 acres and it's exactly what you want. They need to get into the mindset that you need to get your foot in the door, right, and get a condo. So I think they need to build more of those anyway, because we need more workforce housing, right? And not just like rental workforce housing. We need workforce housing for people to buy and be able to get their feet wet and owning real estate, and then be able to one day move on to that next house. But it's all stepping stones, Do you see many of these apartments converting to condos for sale? So that one I just know like specifically because I live there. And I mean, we're talking this is 20 years ago they did this. So I'd imagine that most of the places that were rentals are already condos. They've already been converted. And you can kind of, when you're looking at condos in like St. Augustine Beach, this is primarily where I'm talking about here. You can kind of get almost like a rental community feel out of it, right? And that's really where a lot of communities are now going, is they're going to like, hey, we're going to build this massive amenity center that you're going to pay dues for, and you're going to join in on that. Like most rental communities always had like a pool or something like that. So now condo communities are adding, or just communities, they're not building really any new condo communities here, but they're just building single family developments with all the amenities that you could want, right? And they're not that expensive. So I don't know. I think they should build more condo units, but then the problem is when you build such a high density thing, then you have locals that are like, oh my God, this is going to wreck the traffic in this area. Literally every time anything like this is brought up, like they talked about building apartments off of 312 on St. Augustine Beach, and essentially all of the residents of St. Augustine Beach, which their net worth is much higher than most people in St. Johns County, are like, hey, no, not my backyard. We don't want this rental housing there because of traffic. But in reality, they don't want their a 90 unit rental building right next to their single family $750,000 house. I get it, but at the same time, people need a place to live, and I think there should be affordability offered to people to live on the beach, right? But yeah, sorry, I'm going on rants here. I got a couple more news stories. Let me answer Brian's here. We'll get back to it. And if you do have any other questions, I'll get back to it at the end. Let me run through the rest of these news stories after I answer this. Market went nuts today on the news of interest rate reductions in 2024. What do you see happening in St. Johns County if rates drop to 5% over the next 18 months? Man, if rates drop to 5%, so the theory is, and I'm actually going to put out a predictions video, and not that you should listen to me when it comes. Everyone is speculating, right? I'm just speculating because I'm a nerd. I'm a junkie when it comes down to this stuff. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm watching YouTube channel. Like I'm deep in it because I really like hearing people's perspective on it. From what I've put together, I think that interest rates are probably going to be in the low sixes by the end of 2024. I think that the beginning of the year is going to be extremely crazy. And I'm just speaking on behalf of the people that have reached out to me so far. I'm expecting also the pent up demand. So interest rates kind of hit a point where people are like, oh, let me go shop for a house right now. But it kicked a whole bunch of people off the fence. And everyone I know, that's a producing real estate agent, they're still closing deals and moving forward in a market that's down. And it's down bad, right? We went from 6.5 million homes in 2022 or 2021, sorry, to 3.8 million homes in 2023. It's a drastic decline. That is the crash, right? So there's real estate agents that aren't doing any business, but all the people that I know that are doing business have buyers that are like, hey, I gotta wait. I gotta figure something out because these rates have kicked my ass so much. So if they do get down to 5%, I think even at 6.25%, we're at a feeding frenzy type of thing. Back pretty much to the market we were at before, because now it's people who are going to get into the market and wanted to do it, and then the interest rate happened, and then we've also had 20 world events this past 2 years that puts a whole bunch of past year, let's say, puts a whole bunch of hesitation in people's head anyway, in terms of just being scared to make moves, right? So I think if we happen to get in the low sixes by let's say Q1, we're back in an extremely competitive market. We're back in a solid seller's market. But what's going to happen is we're going to hit low sixes end of 2024, and then it's going to be a steady incline of transactions. So we'll go from 3.8 to probably 4.4 in 2024, maybe 2020, maybe 4.2, 4.4, which is what you want to see. More steadiness come back to the market opposed to boop, 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 boop. We want to see, slightness. That's what we all want. Realtors don't want this craziness, because I was a buyer's agent during those times, and I just worked so much more to do the same result. And also it's I want people to win, whether you're selling a home or buying a home, I want you to feel like you won. And how I do that is just by being transparent, giving you the information right here. And, for sellers, sometimes I lose business because I'm so transparent. For buyers, I just try to coach them the best that I can, but we lose houses sometimes. And especially in the market of 2021, I lost a ton of houses with buyers, and it's not because of something I did, not because of what they did. It was just the market. We were in competition with 10 other offers sometimes, right? So hopefully interest rates don't decline to 5% by next year. I don't think I want to see that market. I do hope it does go to 5%, because then I'll refinance my house, right? And then I'll be sitting pretty. So that's the other thing. We'll also see inventory start to unlock. Once we get in that 5 to 6 range, we'll see more people who are sitting on a 3 and 4% interest rate. They're going to make a move. So then we should see more housing inventory come back in, along with builders building at a more accelerated rate than they were in the past. Hopefully we start to see inventory level out. But if it dropped that quickly to 5%, I don't know. I think we'd be in an extremely difficult market for most people. So I appreciate the engagement here tonight, guys. Let me hop on to these next news stories. If you do have any other questions about what we just covered, I am going to be putting out a prediction video. I think that'll be a fun thing. I'm not saying hold me to it, but I think I'm going to do every 6 months. I'm going to just be hey, this is kind of my wrap up of what I've seen, and this is what I think is going to happen. And then in 6 months, I'm going to recap it and be okay, well, hey, I was right on this. I was dead wrong on that. I was right on this. Cool. And play with the content a little bit. All right, I'll get on to the next news story here, guys. Thanks for being with me tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, right? Sounded creepy. All right, new ranking names, best suburbs in Florida and St. Augustine made the top 10, right? Tell me something I didn't know already. They based it off of the restaurants, the building permits for every 1,000 residents, top suburb in Florida with the lowest obesity rate. And these are the top suburbs. So they got Venice, Boca Raton, Doral, Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, Maitland, Aventura, St. Augustine, Delray Beach, and Lake Mary. So a lot of that was based on having like a good blend of history and modernity. And I think that's what St. Augustine provides, right? You have history, and a lot older history than, like if you live in New York or Philly or Boston, like you have like American Revolutionary history. Whereas like if you're living here in St. Augustine, like you have like Spanish history, like that's pretty cool. You have Black history, you have Native American history, and of course you do have that in the Northeast. But a lot of the cities are not necessarily advertising that like we are. But we don't really have that much American history, right? Like Revolutionary War history. But let me see here. I thought that was pretty interesting. But I also knew that was coming, to be honest. It's a great little town, close to everything, close to every airport you need to go to. Food's fantastic. Drinks are fantastic. We're getting live music. That's amazing. And 30 minutes to Jacksonville, 2 hours to Orlando. It's pretty great. You got beautiful beaches. We have some of the best beaches here in northeastern Florida. All right, on to the news story. Next news story here, guys. Fire off those questions if you have them. This is going to be the last one, and this is interesting because maybe it's a culture shock for you guys. But here in the South, most people think of like Texas being like big in football. Well, Florida actually gets the most D1 recruit athletes of all the states, I believe. I think Texas is number 2, but Florida is actually number 1, I believe. The St. Augustine High School Jackets, they went to States this past weekend. They did lose, but it was a close game, very close game. They won by a field goal, mainland. But they went to States. I think they were 13-0 up until States, so they became 13-1. But the town actually it was kind of cool. They did like a police escort for them because they had the game at mainland, so they did a police escort for them through West King Street, which is where I live over here. So I think that's a pretty cool little thing that happened. They did lose, but they got damn close. It was a good game. I watched a good bit of it on a live stream through 904 now has a Facebook page, and they pretty much live stream all of the games. But one of my buddies actually live streamed it from his phone. So, but it was fantastic. Good game. And high school football here is a big deal, right? So whenever those games happen, there's so many locals that have just been part of the team. The team here has gone to state several times and won. They have that like Friday Night Lights type of feel to it. So pretty cool. There's a lot of energy in the city. So it's cool to see. So let's see here. Apollo back at it. All right. I do see continuous price reductions for properties in St. John's, especially outside of Knockney and smaller size homes, sub 2,000 square feet, are not moving as quick in this market. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I'd say that's definitely fair. Like the more entry-level homes are definitely having a harder time. We're seeing that our market north of like 500 is super strong. Super strong. It's pretty staggering, actually. When you're talking about Knockney, number 1 master plan community in the state of Florida by niche.com. We have someone actually closing in Knockney tomorrow or on Friday. So super excited for them. But yeah, it's also just based on like, hey, you're moving somewhere. Like a lot of the people moving into Florida are moving from the Northeast. And like if you have a 2,000, let's say you have a 1,500 square foot home and it's one level. Well, you also have a 1,500 square foot basement, right? You have so much more room. You can tell the kids to go downstairs. You can finish it. You can do whatever you want with it. Put a gym down there, storage. Here, you don't have that. You need to have a bigger home. Just if you have like, let's say your husband, wife, you have 3 kids. Well, that's easily a 4-bedroom house. If you need an in-home office, which most people do, that's a 5-bedroom house. And so you need the square footage for it. So we're seeing a lot of those homes go very quickly, especially in Knockney too. If you're sub 2,000 square feet, that's a tough sell because Knockney, number 1 master plan community in the entire state of Florida, a lot of people move there because of the family aspect of it. It's literally like 26 square miles of like, just let your kid go play. Like, hey, when you say go outside, you're like, go outside and you have there's nothing to do outside, and you have no excuse to say that because they have water park, they have zip line, they have kayak launch, they have baseball, soccer, whatever. It's crazy. It's literally amazing. Um, so yes, so that is, we are seeing that, right? For sub 2,000 square foot homes, but really our luxury market and above that price, like or above that square footage, they're moving pretty quickly. Average days on market, I think it's 50 days now, so it's creeping up a little bit, but I kind of expect that towards the end of this year. Let's see. Thank you. Or wait, sorry, I skipped a couple questions. Sorry, I'll get back to you, Scott. Sorry. Hey Thomas, hope all is going well. Love nature. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Brian, back in it. I'm from Philly. Been in St. John's for 9 months. It's better. If you miss Philly, check out Philly's finest in Jack's Beach, Eagles. Didn't you guys just get smacked this past weekend? If I remember correctly, I got a lot of sad Philly friends this past weekend. I love Philly personally. I think it's a great city. A lot of my friends that I went to high school with grew up in Philly. I went to a boarding school, Milton Hershey School, in Pennsylvania. So all my friends were pretty much from either Philly or New York because it's a school for underprivileged children. But I spent a good bit of time in Philly. Philly's finest is that, if they have a cheesesteak and I go in there and it's got peppers on it, I'm never going to talk to you again, Brian. If they got peppers on their cheesesteak in there and it's American cheese and not Cheese Whiz, we may as well just end this conversation here, because it's crazy. If you're not from Philly, it's ridiculous. Like, you go into any place and they sell Philly cheesesteaks with, now you can't, I'm not saying this isn't a Philly way. You can get provolone cheese, and my camera will probably die here in 2 seconds. That's fantastic. It should be charging. A Philly cheesesteak with, you either get American cheese and fried onions, and that's it. That's really it. Salt, pepper, ketchup, maybe mayo if you're getting crazy. But if you're adding green peppers to your cheesesteak, that's not a real Philly cheesesteak. It's not. Sorry. Hurt your feelings. Brian, this area is beautiful. The people are great. The food is excellent. I 100% agree. Where are you living in St. John's? You living up in the city of St. John's or St. John's County? Scott, all right, back to your question. Do you think the cost of existing homes is going to come down more? It seems like currently you would be better off to buy a new home with all the incentives builders are offering than an existing. 1,000% you are. 1,000%. And my loan officer buddy is mad at me because I can't, I take people and like, hey, your best deal is over here at new construction. D.R. Horton right now is buying down interest rates like 4.99%. Lennar is doing the same in a lot of their communities. Aside from that, they're also paying your closing costs. That's one big thing here in Florida is our closing costs are much higher than other places. So typically 3 to 4%. So let's say 3.5%. Let's say 3% of a $500,000 home. Your closing costs are $15,000, right? So you got your down payment. Let's say that's 10%. So of a $500,000 home, that's $50,000. Plus your closing costs, that's $15,000. So you're at $65,000 out of pocket, right? They're gonna pay for that. They're also paying for a rate buy down too. The rate buy down can be between $20,000 and $30,000 if you're looking from a 7 to a 5% interest rate, right? So they have the profit margin to be able to do those kind of things, and that's where the best deals are coming in. We actually went to this past Friday. We were in Nocatee, and we went to Del Webb Nocatee, which is their 55 plus section. Typically, in most new construction, the best deals are coming on homes that they have that are about to be done, right? They have their homes they're ready now, or they're going to be done in a month because they want to get this inventory off their books. So they're giving the best incentives for those pieces, right? But Del Webb Nocatee, which is their 55 active adult community, they're like, hey, we've reached our quota for the year. We've been selling so good. We're actually not giving that many incentives on quick move and stuff. We want to start building out our Q2 and Q3 of 2024. So they're giving like literally $100,000 in incentives in the 55 plus community over there for to be built stuff, right? So that's pretty crazy. But yes, all day long, as of this point, buying new construction is the best deal in this market. They're buying down. Sorry about that, guys. My camera died. I'm just going to finish this right here because it's 40 minutes. I always do this. All right. So, yes, they're buying down your rate. They're paying your closing costs, and you're getting a brand new home. So your brand new home comes with a warranty from the builder. Typically, you get a
1-year material defect, you get an 11-month inspection. So like you have an inspector come in the 11th month, you give it to the warranty company and they take care of everything, right? I simplified that. It's not always that easy. But then you also have a 10-year structural warranty on the home from the builder. And then all of your appliances, your AC, your hot water heater, if unless you have the instant hot water heater, your stove, your microwave, your fridge, all that stuff is going to have warranties from the manufacturer, right? So all of these things are pretty much going to cost you, in terms of your maintenance on the home, almost nothing over the course of, let's say, 5 to 7 years, right? So definitely new construction is the best way to go. Caveat to that is that pretty much every new construction home here is in an HOA CDD community. So you will have to pay that extra amount of money for those amenities if you're looking for them, if you're not looking for them. So any other questions, Scott, about that, let me know. Shoot me a message, give me a call, a text, an email, set up a Calendly. We got a link below. Well, we will have a link below, but there's, in every video I have, there's a link below. Rivertown is nicer than Nocatee, just saying. So will the market in a few years. Rivertown is Nocatee. All right, let me go back to your. So will the market. Interesting. This is my, so I don't know what you mean by so will the market in a few years. I like Rivertown. I think the location of Nocatee is better. And I mean, it's hard to say, like, I mean, if I think if I were buying in Rivertown for myself, that's hard to say. I wouldn't say Rivertown's better. I think there's good things about Rivertown, and there's better things about Rivertown, and there's better things about Nocatee, right? If you're looking at like the amenity center of Rivertown, it's amazing. It's on the St. Johns River. They, like, from what I hear, I haven't experienced this, right? They even have like a bartender that'll like bring you drinks at the pool. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong. But like Nocatee has like a 3-story water slide. It's got a zip line. Like, it's also really more, it's well more established. So like the neighborhood itself feels a little bit more lived in. But Rivertown's an amazing community. And that community, funny enough, if you look up the history of Rivertown, Brian, they had trouble selling homes in there. They couldn't sell homes at first. It was originally, I can't remember who the builder was, but they sold it to Mattamy with all the acreage there. And then Mattamy was like, hey, we're going to build this massive amenity center, and it's going to be beautiful and top notch, and people are going to want to move here. And that's what happened. So, yeah. So I don't know what you mean by so will the market in a few years. I don't know. But if you want to elaborate, please do. Dude, your phone has a better camera. This is hilarious. My laptop has a better camera. I don't know. I think that has a better camera. This is just closer to my face. I'm just so handsome. That's what happens. Debbie Williams, depends on what you want. I'm in Grand Oaks. Love being close to downtown. That's the other thing too, is like Rivertown is out there. Like Nocatee, you're close to 295. You're close to US 1, close to 95, close to 295. You're close to the beach. Whereas Rivertown, yeah, you're closer to the river, but you really don't have any access from the community to the river there. And I mean, you are close to 295 too, but you know, in terms of St. Augustine or getting over to Jacksonville, like you're like 40 minutes from both of those. So I would say that's a big negative on Rivertown. But Grand Oaks, that's another place. I think that's a good location, especially, I mean, they will be widening 16 outside of there, and they're going to need to. But just that whole area is developing really, really nicely. I think they got because that's really more off of 16. That's more of a southern end of where the development is. Most of the development's happening off of 210, which is like where Rivertown is, where Nocatee is, where oh my gosh, where Stillwater, we're pretty much all Shearwater, Stillwater. All these massive master plan communities are pretty much off of 210. But we're starting to see that all move south because land is getting more expensive up north, and we're looking for better prices down south. But Grand Oaks, man, they got some good deals in there. I like the builders they got in there. It seems a little bit more spacious. I want to check out Summer Bay over there, which is the 55 plus. Are you over there, Debbie, in the 55 plus or just the regular? All right, Apollo, back to you. I am watching EverRange by the PARC group, a new plan community that will have 1,500 homes and connection in. Yes. So I did. If you watch my E-Town video, Apollo, I know we talked about this prior, and I wasn't aware of EverRange. You brought it to my attention. But I ended up talking to the rep over at E-Town, and I talked to the reps at Nocatee. And yeah, that's going to pretty much go. The road you're talking about is essentially going to go from Nocatee behind Wells Creek, which is off of US 1. And then it's going to go through EverRange and then through E-Town, which will get you right to Butler Boulevard and then right to 295. So very, very convenient in that community. That's also going to be by the PARC group. It's going to be so PARC group developed Nocatee. So, and the PARC group's developing E-Town as well. So they're kind of all in tandem with each other. Pretty cool. So yeah, I think that is going to be a good addition to that area. And it's also going to be a nice little thing because you can just kind of cut through the communities to get to where you need to go, opposed to going out to US 1. So that's going to be a nice little pass through. We'll see how it works. Brian Hengevald, exactly. Okay. It's hard, when I'm trying to figure out these comments. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. But I'm glad we agree. 50 what? Nomad, travel nurse, mountain biker. Oh, very cool. I hope you hit some of the trails here. Me and Kane have been trying to get out this past week, and we haven't been able to. There's a place in Jacksonville I want to check out. I think it's called Bull's Head Mountain Bike Trail out there. It's got like a little waterfall, which you wouldn't expect here in Florida. Once the interest rates drop in 2024, I believe the prices will rise again. We are moving there soon. Yeah, 100%. We've seen interest rates go from, 6 weeks. They've gone from I think it hit a high of 8% in October, if I remember correctly. And now we're really in the high sixes, which is good. That's fantastic for a lot of people. And now it says we're seeing I covered the news story where it says refinancing has gone up 12%. Month over month, but it's when you go from 0 to 1, that's 1,000% increase. No one was refinancing at 8%, right? No one was doing that unless they're refinancing to pay off high interest credit cards or something like that, which does happen. It's just not as frequent. But yes, I think we'll see a lot more money moving around because people are stuck with the 4% interest rate. If you have an 8% interest rate, right? Or 8 or a 7, I have a 7% interest rate. If they go down to 5, fantastic. I'm refinancing and that's going to save me some money on the monthly. But, then I'll probably be all right, so now it's 5%. I'm going to go buy a house. I'm going to buy another house. Let's do it. Because for me, I'm pretty bullish on this area. I'm a realtor, obviously, but I'm also buying homes for myself to make sure that I can one day retire because it's not possible for my generation. I don't think I think most of my generation is probably going to work till they die. So I'm not trying to be like that, trying to do something a little different. But 50 what? Nomad, travel nurse, mountain biker. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the show. Brian Hengevald. Nocatee is like Disney. Rivertown is like the quiet niche CDD community. The best part about it is the distance from everything else. Yeah, it's close enough to everything. Yeah. I don't think it's as developed though. I agree. Nocatee is a great community. Rivertown is a great community. It's for different people, right? If you're looking for, I'm thinking Nocatee. If you're living in Nocatee, the biggest thing is hey, you have kids, and you also want to take the kids to their sports events. You want to take them to school. You want to take them to church. That's all in the community. That's all within Nocatee. Your shopping's in Nocatee. Your restaurant's in Nocatee. You literally do not need to leave, pretty much for whatever reason. So that's the one thing that's really nice. And the community it's just much more developed where they have community events. I was driving through there on Friday, and they were doing their holiday golf cart, where they dress up. Everyone dresses up their golf cart. They wear Santa suits and all that kind of stuff. And more than likely they're getting drunk driving these golf carts around, but it's a little bit more developed, a lot more people too, for sure, a lot more homes. But I would say Rivertown, yes, is definitely more of a quiet. It is a cool little area. I love that community back there. Definitely more quiet, but it is further away from a lot of things. It's close enough to everything that you need, but if you want to go spend the night downtown, if you want to go to Jacksonville or something like that, you are a little further. 50 what? Nomad, travel nurse, mountain biker. I work as a nurse. I think I figured that out. Is that new hospital still going to be built off of 207 and 95? No, that's actually not happening, unfortunately. They probably will build a hospital out there soon, but not in that location. Initially, it was going to go out there, but They decided against it because I guess they put a Best Bet right there, and they were like, we don't want a hospital next to a Best Bet. And anyone that like brings up gambling, they're like, oh, gambling brings crime. And it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But they are building a new ambulatory center off of State Road 16. So there's actually, and that I'm excited for because I own a townhome right over there. And the plan is over by State Road 16 is to build that ambulatory center. They're building a Texas Roadhouse there as well. And then they demolished the indoor portion of the outlet mall, and they're going to be developing that. The initial plan was to develop that into commercial space and residential housing. Sorry, luxury rentals, right? So sorry, I had a brain fart there. But yes, I don't think there's any other new hospitals seated to come in that I can think of. They are putting like little centers here and there, but not. That was supposed to be a big project out there at 207 and 95. That was supposed to be a big hospital. And for some reason that is not happening. Now they're putting like car dealerships out there. So like I think Beaver Toyota and Hyundai are moving out to that same strip. I think there was something more at play than that, but that's what I know. Debbie Williams, we're in a gated community, Lakeview, 55 plus Summers Bay is great. Also too gated. Yep. So that's talking about Grand Oaks, which is off of 16. So that's really, that's super close, super convenient to 95, to downtown St. Augustine. Probably takes her 20 minutes to get downtown to St. Augustine from her house. And then to get up to Jacksonville, she's right off of 16. So she can get on 95 in 4 minutes probably. And then up to Jacksonville about 25. So within 30 minutes, she's probably in downtown Jacksonville, or maybe town center to go shopping, but great location. And then you got all your like Publix and all your other shopping just down 16, where 16 and International Golf Parkway meet. That's probably a 10-minute drive. It's fantastic location. You picked well, Debbie. I wish you would have used me. Just kidding. Just making a joke. I'm glad you're here. I went to Hannah Park, has some trails. I haven't been to Hannah Park yet. You got to check out Malacompra. Malacompra is like one of the best in the area. Graham Swamp is in Flagler County. Graham Swamp is fantastic. And then in St. Augustine, we've been going to Moses Creek. Moses Creek is a great little spot. It's hiking, biking, camping, kind of trails like that. But great little spot, 100%. I locked in a 5.75 VA loan. Yeah. So if you're looking to buy a house, or you're looking, if you're looking to make a move, right? I mean, see if you can hold on to the house, because 5.75 VA loan, I believe, is assumable as well. So that could even be an incentive if you're looking to sell or move into another home. Someone could assume your loan at 5.75, which would be a big advantage for you as a seller. But if you got that low interest rate, and maybe you put maybe you put a good bit down, I don't know, you could probably rent it and make some money, which, long-term wealth, if it's within your financial goals, could be a good way to go. Oh, okay. Sorry, a little hiccup here. All right. So JJ Patterson, what's up? Just plan on the hour. Oh, it's always interesting. Your knowledge, A+, especially when you go on an aside. Best around. Just plan on the hour. I'm sorry, JJ. I'm trying to figure out what you said, man. Just plan on the hour. It's always interesting. Your knowledge, A+, especially when you go on an aside. Best around. Okay, I'm thinking what you're saying is that like traffic is just plan on the hour, right? And then your knowledge, A+. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Especially when you go on a side. I'm thinking when you're saying I go on tangents, maybe that's what you're talking about. I don't know. I'm trying to interpret it. I'm sorry, JJ. All right, let's see here. 50 what? We are buying new there. Okay. Well, hey, if you need any help, let me know. I'd love to be able to help out. Where are you thinking about buying? Let me know in the comments below. Let's see here. Man, we're running a whole hour here, man. These live streams are starting to get a lot more fun. So many more people commenting. Thank you so much for commenting. This makes it a lot more engaging. A lot of times, I like to bring up the news stories, and I'm going to start doing an edited video of the best news stories for the month, just so there is like a final cut. Bitey Cat says, I'm in Heritage Park, just north of Mission Trace Publix, and oh boy, was I lucky to buy when I did. I love it here. Yeah, I mean, depending on when you bought over there, that's a nice little spot over there. My old boss used to own a, I think he still owns it. No, he sold it, but he's looking to move to Spain actually. But owned a home off a Chicken Farm Road back there. I can't remember the community, but yeah, I mean, now you're even seeing new construction starting to go in off of 16 in individual parcels. They were starting to build on Lewis Speedway, some of the townhomes out there. Heritage Park is like a nice little HOA community, pretty much just tucked away. And you're right off of 16, so you can get there really easily. You're probably, I don't know, what do you think, Body Cat? Like 13 minutes to downtown St. Augustine, right? Probably 10 minutes to 95. Mission Trace Publix is right there. I lived right at Tuscany Village and at the intersection of 16 and 95. So pretty much the same area. I bet you do hear the St. Augustine High School band though, because I could hear them sometimes and I was like, Jesus, they're playing loud, you know? So yeah, 15 minutes to the beach. Yeah. Entrada Express. Hey, if you're using Maxine over there, she's the best. Maxine is my favorite lady over there. She's awesome. So Entrada is also one of my like favorite communities in St. Augustine. I love the location. I mean, you're 12 minutes to downtown St. Augustine. You're 10 minutes to the beach. It's probably 15 minutes to the amphitheater. All your shopping is literally right across the street now since they built over there. And they've built, since you are a travel nurse, I mean, they got the new VA hospital there. They have a new rehab facility there, a senior living facility there, all on 16 or all on 207. So yeah, might be a good place to look for employment. If you didn't already buy, reach out to me directly and I can help you out over there in Entrada. It's a great community. I'm a big fan. Put a couple families over there this year. Maxine's the go-to though. If you don't reach out to me, just reach out to Maxine. She'll take care of you. Your show, that's an hour. That's it. Okay. I got you now. Yeah. Well, I do plan my phone. I have it planned from 7 to 9. But it always goes over, it seems, because also what I do is you can follow my Facebook page. It's, I don't know, www.com/living in St. Augustine. You can follow it if you're not ready right now. You want to engage with people in the community. You can ask questions there. But I also post, short form pieces of what I just covered essentially. And also like other fun, I try to be funny, I try to be a little jokester on there sometimes. So Instagram, Thomas Rayberg Realtor, Facebook, Living in St. Augustine, they pretty much have the same content, but for pretty much 2 different audiences. So Bitey Cat, you bought in December 2019. So did I. Oh, so cool. Yeah, I mean, right before, obviously we bought, and then there was a little bit of a scary time with March of 2020 and literally like 3 months of like nothing going on. But you know what? We're savvy. We're just so savvy. We just bought at the right time, and then the market went crazy. So we're sitting on like 100,000 in equity on our townhome right now. And, we're collecting some good rent on it, which the good side of that is that it's kind of subsidizing my payment over here because I have a 7% interest rate. So, but 15 minutes to the beach. I'm 15 minutes to the beach over here in West Augustine. I'm a mile from downtown St. Augustine. I take jogs downtown, run the waterfront, run the fort. Me and my wife go downtown. We grab, and now West Augustine's starting to pop really well. Like West Augustine is so cool now. Like it's Maracuya's there. It's a Peruvian coffee shop, wine bar, dessert bar. So cool. It's the guy who owns Llama. He opened in October. We've been going there really often. West Egg, great little breakfast spot. Muggsy's and Real Peel. Muggsy's is like this cool retro sports bar right on West King. And they got Real Peel, which does like, I don't know, 12-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch personal pizzas, but they're like gourmet pizzas. He bakes them in the little oven with the fire in the back. He has a residency at Muggsy's. So you can go there, and it takes a little bit to get your pizza, so you need to be patient. But this guy will sell 50 pizzas in an hour, like that, out of a truck. And they're amazing. They're great. So we'll go and pick up a couple pies. You can hang and have, I don't really drink like that. You can hang and have a drink. at the cool bar. But I'm 15 minutes to the beach, so close to downtown, 15 minutes to the amphitheater. I got no complaints where I live. I think it'll be great. We can't wait to move. I saw the VA clinic. I'll look for work there. Yeah, it's brand new. So, I mean, hopefully they do well there. If you're still going to be a travel nurse, I'm not sure what the regulations are on your travel nursing contracts. I know they've started to go. My brother-in-law is a travel nurse. I know they've started to go down in terms of like what their contracts are on the monthly basis. But he was working at a travel nurse contract, I think, at Palatka Hospital, which is probably door to door from Entrada. It'd be about 45 minutes. So I'm not sure if that's. I think it's typically 2 hours that you need to be outside your range. But, maybe you leave your address where you are for a little bit, get that contract, make that money. I don't know. I know some people do that, but that's not financial advice. Don't listen to me. But that could be a good way to go. Exactly. It's amazing. She's talking about Heritage Park out there in 16 resale community, no new construction there. What's the name of the pizza? The pizza guy is called Real Peel. You can find him on Instagram. So RealPeel pizza. The Real Peel. It's fantastic. It's really, really good pizza. I get the bee sting, which has like pepperonis and honey on it, and it's like a spicy honey. Very good. No, it's okay. I'm in California at the moment. Yeah, they say 50 to 100 miles. I mean, that could fit, honestly. It could. Let me just, I go 70 miles an hour down this road, so let's see here. I think it's Putnam County Hospital. I could be wrong, sorry. Yeah, HCA, directions, Entrada. I'm sorry. I'm way off. 30 miles. Okay, so it's a 37-minute drive. But I'm sure you can find, something that's 50 miles away that would work for you in that respect. So you can keep doing travel nursing and making that money. That was just an idea. I know my brother-in-law worked there for a little bit. You don't need to rewind. I gotcha. No problem, Bitey Cat. Boom. Guys, that looks like it's the end of my comments. We've been running here an hour. Thank you so much for participating in this live stream here this week. We're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the news you need to know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing. And we're also doing a Q&A just like we've been doing here for the past half hour. So make sure you tune in live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Ask questions. It makes it more fun for me. Some housekeeping, probably the next couple weeks. I don't know if I'll be doing my 8 p.m. show. Just to be honest, I have some personal issues I have to take care of. Not myself. My friend is terminally ill. We're trying to figure out a trip for him as kind of a last bucket list trip. We were supposed to leave on the 26th, but his health has taken a turn for the worse. We may leave on Monday. So if anything, I might do it from my phone just to remain consistent, but it's not really going to be my focus considering we're doing this for my buddy. Yes, I don't know if I'll be doing it or not. So I'm sorry if I'm wishy-washy on my 8 p.m. live stream for the next couple weeks, but we will get back on it. Thank you for all your blogs and great information. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. If you want to go mountain biking, let me know. If you haven't done anything with Entrada, let me know. I can help you out on that front as well. Just DM. You can't DM on YouTube, but message me separately. My information, I can actually pop it up here somewhere. I don't know. Boom. There you go. That's my information right there. So if you haven't done anything yet, let me know. I'd love to be able to help you out. If you want to go mountain biking, you can also text that number there and we'll go mountain biking. Mountain biking is a great sport. You should all do it. You can all join me. We'll join it. We'll create a club. You all have to wear my hats, but we'll create a club. That is MK. Thanks. Really enjoy your channel. Bitey Cat, I appreciate you. I'm glad that locals are tuning in now. I love that locals are tuning in. And I love getting feedback from you guys too, because then it comes from another source. It's not just me saying St. Augustine's awesome. Then I have other people saying it's awesome. And then also I like the people that chime in and say like, hey, this place sucks now, because it's changed in the 40 years I've lived here. And that's every local that lives here now. So, Paulo, thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah. He's had cancer for over 6 years now. And it's just, he's dealt a shit hand. That's really about it. But stream was great. I appreciate you, Paulo. Life is so short. Let's do it. Let's ride. Blessings to my friend. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay, I'll tell you where I'm at the process. Awesome. Great, guys. Well, hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you for participating here tonight. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I will put an update on there because YouTube doesn't really have the update section, where I can say, hey, live stream canceled, hey, live stream's on, whatever. I will have that on my Instagram or my Facebook. So I'm not sure if I can post those here. I can post, maybe I can. Let me see. I can post comments. There we go. Okay. Start using your head here for more than a hat rack, as my grandfather would say. So that's one. And this is the other. You can follow me there. You're going to get more updates. You're going to get things I'm doing on my daily, just based on what my day looks like. If I'm showing houses, if I'm selling houses, I'll be showing it all on there as well. But it's an easier place for me to update people through the social channels. Since I got you on here, I will. This is my Mona Lisa, I would say, of funny content. I want to share it with you guys. It's been on my Instagram page for a while. But I think this is probably my best work. I don't know if I'll ever top it. I'm trying. Believe me, I'm trying. But I think this is my best. Oh, dang it. Nope. Sorry. Let me, here we go. I'm sorry. Maybe that's not as funny as I think it is. I think it's hilarious. This is probably a good runner up here. All right. And that's where I'll end it here, guys. Hope you enjoyed that a little bit. I think they're funny. You can find more content like that on my Instagram page and my Facebook page. I'm just trying to make light of a shitty situation. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time every Wednesday, 8 p.m. But like I said, I don't know about the next couple of weeks, so don't hold me to it. But I'll try to be here for you. All right. If I don't see you, have a good holiday, a good new year, and we'll catch you in 2024.